What's up, everybody? It's Diego Call from PunchDrunkSports.com, bringing you a new show that I haven't quite chosen a name for yet. I am thinking about a few, but I would be very open to comments from viewers. So if you do have any interesting ideas for names, please let me know in the comments, and I'll take it into consideration. So basically what it's going to be a show where I'm going to be talking about the biggest news just about each and every day. If not every day, then every 2 days. All depending on what big stories come out and what kind of transfer news and all kinds of different things. So today I'm going to be talking about a couple stories. First of all, I'm going to be talking about Antonio Conte allegedly trying to bring in Paul Pogba and Edinson Cavani. Now, I'm just going to talk about Paul Pogba first because I think it's a story that I'm sure Conte wants him. I'm sure Chelsea are interested in him, but I don't see how they're possibly going to get him. There's just no way that they're going to get him. For the simple fact that Paul Pogba isn't going to go to a team that isn't going to guarantee him Champions League football. If he doesn't leave Juventus, he's going to be at a team that is very solid. There's a chance of him obviously still being a superstar on the team and playing Champions League football next year without a doubt. And there's a strong chance of Juventus progressing decently in the competition. So he has no reason to leave Juventus to go to Chelsea. Sure, I'm sure London does have its attractiveness. I'm sure London is interesting to him. Playing in the Premier League is probably pretty interesting for anybody, but he has been in the Premier League before for Man United, obviously. He doesn't need to experience England for the first time, so I don't think that there's a club in England other than maybe Manchester City, but even that, I don't really think that there's too much interest for him to go to City. So I do think this is very unlikely. However, Edinson Cavani, I would say, is a much more plausible story. Ever since he went to PSG a couple of years ago, he hasn't exactly been as great as one would expect from a guy like him. You saw what he did at Napoli. He was consistently getting 30 goals a season, if not more. And he looked like a very dominant striker. But when he went to PSG, he pretty much became the number 2 to Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And he didn't get as much game time. And most importantly, he didn't get a central role in the team, which obviously it didn't help him sort of get to the sort of numbers that you would expect from him, especially playing in Ligue 1, the French league, where realistically there's only one team. There's only PSG. The rest of them are pretty mediocre sides. So, you would expect him to be getting at least 25, 30 goals a season just in the French league, not counting Champions League. Now, it's been ever since he went there, basically, there have been talks about him not fitting in and him wanting to leave and how the club would be willing to sell him. And he was mostly linked to Manchester United. And I think that Chelsea would probably be a pretty decent fit for him, considering that whoever comes in is going to need a striker. And Antonio Conte in particular, when he was managing Juventus, he was coming up against Edinson Cavani very often. And I'm pretty sure that having faced him in the time where Edinson Cavani was one of the best strikers in the world, I'm sure that put in a very strong impression in Conte's head, and that's why he's going to be interested in getting him. I think it would be a good signing because I think that even though maybe he hasn't been getting the sort of goals that you would expect from him, I think that if he does come to a team like Chelsea, where he would be the number 1 striker, he would be pretty much the number 1 player in the team, I think that would be a very favorable situation for him because we know how good he is. We know that the talent's there. He is maybe a bit older now than he was back then, but he still has it. I'm pretty confident that he still has it. So I think Chelsea would be very smart to get him. The price is going to be around £35 million, which is a lot better than they would have gotten a few years ago. Although he has sort of gotten a little bit, he isn't quite as good as he was. I think it's still a very fair price for a player of his caliber. And I think that since Chelsea are rebuilding their team and are sort of, they are looking for the future, I think they can't expect a guy that's going to demand Champions League football. So Edinson Cavani, if they could get him, would be an excellent signing. And I think that would be a very, very good choice for the future for Chelsea Football Club. And I think that it's very realistic. And if Antonio Conte does indeed sign for Chelsea, I think that could be the first signing that we see on a major scale. So that's about it for this episode. If you enjoyed, hit the like button. Please subscribe. Check out PunchDrunkSports.com. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any ideas for names. That's about it. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.